Hey, it's Seraphin, and in this video, we're making a healthy, soft, and tasty Asian bread with wheat bran. In case you're not familiar with it, wheat bran is the hard outer layer of a wheat kernel. When wheat kernels are processed into flour, this outer bran is normally removed and ends up as a byproduct, which is what we have here. This wheat bran is packed full of fiber and also contains many other nutrients, making it very beneficial to our health. In our modern times, with processed food everywhere, it can be hard getting enough of healthy nutrients like fiber in our diets. This wheat bran bread recipe helps to combat that, as a convenient way to add fiber into your bread. If you're looking to get more fiber into your diet, then this is definitely a bread for you. As we were experimenting with it, we've also found that wheat bran actually makes the bread taste better. It adds a sweet, almost nutty taste to the Asian bread, making it even more delicious to eat. In this particular recipe, we're adding 50 grams of wheat bran to the entire bread recipe. But because wheat bran is very water hungry, before we add the wheat bran to the main bread dough, we need to soak it in a lot of water first. This way the bran can absorb water and soften, making it easier to digest, as well as preventing it from cutting into the gluten. We're actually adding all of the water to soak the wheat bran, 265 grams of water for 50 grams of wheat bran. We just add and mix lightly, and then we're going to leave it for 3 hours. Then once our wheat bran is all nice and hydrated, we're going to make our bread dough. We'll be using a stand mixer, so we have the bowl prepared here, and into it we're going to add 350 grams of bread flour, 60 grams of sugar, 35 grams of milk powder, 1 teaspoon of salt, a half a teaspoon of instant yeast, and then we'll add our soaked wheat bran. There's one more ingredient to add, 35 grams of butter, but we're going to wait until the dough has been mixed for a bit before adding the fat because it interferes with gluten development. So we're going to start the stand mixer on a low speed for a minute, just to combine the ingredients and prevent the flour from flying into our faces. Then we want to bring the speed up to a medium, letting it run for another 2 minutes, just until it's become well combined and more cohesive. This means the dough has started to develop a little gluten, which is when we want to add the butter to the dough. So stop the mixer, and we're just going to add in 35 grams of butter, using a spatula to get it all in. Once that's done, we want to start the stand mixer on a medium speed again, and let it run for another 6 minutes, or until the dough becomes smooth, homogeneous, and tacky. If you're familiar with making bread, you can probably recognize when the bread dough reaches this stage. We want to stop the stand mixer here, and to make sure the dough has been well kneaded, we want to do a window pane test. This bread dough passes the test, so we can move on to the next step. We're going to sprinkle a little bit of flour on our work surface, then bring our dough out of the stand mixing bowl onto the surface. Round it into a rough boule, and we want to put it in this glass bowl. Once it's in, we want to cover the bowl, and we're going to let it bulk ferment for about an hour or until it doubles in size. The exact timing will depend on your weather conditions and yeast. It should be about this high when it's done. Okay, we can see that it's already doubled in size. Another way to tell if it's ready is to do a poke test. After that, we're now going to divide and pre-shape the bread dough. Prepare the work surface by sprinkling a bit of flour, and then we'll take out the dough. It should be pretty easy to get out of the bowl. Roughly shape it into a more even shape by pulling the edges into the center. We're making it into a log here, so it's easier to divide, rolling it out a bit. We're dividing it into 5 pieces, weighing about 160 grams each. The best advice we have for dividing the bread dough is to use a scraper and cut decisively. You can use a little flour to control sticking if you'd like, but the bread dough shouldn't be very sticky. We're also weighing them to make them more even in size. We're just trying our best to make sure they're equal so they look good and even. After dividing, we're going to just pre-shape them into round boules using these motions, just folding in the edges to build tension on the other side. Then we'll flip it over and round it with our palms, using a bit of flour if needed. Then repeat for all pieces. Just quick and easy. Pre-shaping is just to get them all into more uniform shapes and add a bit more strength. It's not the final shaping, so we don't have to be too concerned about the way they look. After pre-shaping each piece, we want to cover them all and let them take a bench rest for 10 minutes. This allows the gluten to relax, preventing it from tearing during the final shaping. We're also going to take this bench rest time to prepare our loaf pans for baking by lining them with butter. We're using a silicone brush, and we want to make sure to get every nook and cranny of the pan. Otherwise, it's going to be extremely difficult to remove the bread. Take it from us, when the bread sticks to the pan, it latches on for dear life. So better safe rather than sorry. When we've prepared the baking pans and once the 10 minutes are up, we're going to uncover our little bowls. And you can see how they've relaxed from how spread out they are. Just the right condition for us to shape them. So we still have a bit of flour on our work surface. We'll take one of the bowls, flip it over onto the work surface, add just a bit of flour to the dough, and on the rolling pin. Then using the rolling pin, we want to roll it out from the middle to the bottom, then the middle to the top, and so on until it's thin enough, before folding the top and bottom sides in. After that, we reposition the dough and flatten it out again with the rolling pin. Again, roll starting from the middle. And finally, curl the entire dough up into a tidy little roll. Use this roll and then tucking motion to make sure you get a very tight roll. And we're done shaping this little piece of dough. We want to repeat this process for the remaining pieces of dough. So just the same steps, and if you see any bubbles, make sure you pop them. Once they're all done, we want to put them into the loaf pans. And we have a pretty important tip for their placement here. To get the fluffiest result, we want adjacent rolls of dough to have swirls going in opposite directions. So we want a clockwise piece next to a counterclockwise one. This will help them push up against each other, allowing the entire loaf to rise higher. So with this tip in mind, we've put all the pieces into the loaf pan. And just before we leave them, we're going to press all the dough pieces down to push them all the way down. And then we're going to cover the dough and leave it to proof for about 1.5 hours or until they double in size. About 10 minutes before the dough finishes proofing, we want to start preheating the oven to 180 degrees Celsius. Then when the time's up, we can get the bread ready for baking. We're going to give the bread a glazing just to improve the color and taste a bit. We're using a bit of milk with a brush and just applying it over the top of the bread gently so we don't deflate the bread. We're adding enough to properly coat the top just to give it that milky layer. Then with the glazing done, it's finally time to bake the bread. We want to bake it at 180 degrees Celsius on top and bottom heat for 35 minutes or until it turns brown in color. And it's finally done. Before eating it, we can also brush it with some butter just to make it tastier and look glossier. And that's it for this video. Thanks for watching, and bye!